I saw myself connecting to this triangle with an eye out in space, and I'm trusting that you can help me understand this.
Well, you're awakening to some connections you have to other levels and dimensions of consciousness and other entities that you have formed connections with that may be symbolized by those that are very ancient. But you have connections to them energetically and can draw upon that to express those energies and apply those energies in your life in beneficial ways.
Such as in the gamma state, how can I focus on those energies while I'm in the doing the channeling state in the gamma?
Well, again, when you're in the channeling state, you are in gamma, and whatever symbols need to appear, whatever connections need to come up will automatically do so, because in that gamma state, in the channeling state, these things happen synchronistically and automatically. You don't have to plan to grab this and grab that. What needs to come up will come up in exactly the right order, at exactly the right timing. It's an automatic, self-guiding, self-perpetuating, self-expanding process. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it
All
does.
right.
And John of God, what is that place?
What is that place?
Yes, the man that lives
It's
in
a
that
place where a particular individual is radiating and connecting to a certain frequency that, if other people decide to match that frequency, can allow themselves to heal themselves in certain ways or find information or answers to things they have been searching for.
And speaking of healing, would you be able to give me a permission slip to improve my eyesight to the point where I no longer need glasses?
Look within.
Thank you very much.
Does that help you?
That absolutely.
I don't mean to be facetious, but really the idea is that sometimes you don't see outside because you need to see more clearly inside first. And it may never be necessary for you to see that clearly outside. Do you understand? If it is necessary, it will happen. The more you act on your excitement to the best of your ability with no insistence on a particular outcome, you will see everything you need to see. Sometimes there are things you don't need to see. So your vision can become very specific. You can see certain things very clearly, and other things can remain fuzzy and sort of off to the side because they really simply are not relevant for you at this particular moment to focus on.
Understood.
Make sense?
Thank you so much, Bashar.
Does that help you?
Absolutely, it does. My unconditional love to you and your people.
And you as well.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
From the morning, I'm getting a strong feeling that you may have a message for me. If you have anything from my higher self or higher mind, can you?
I'm going to ask you the same question I've been asking, because that's what the higher mind would ask. You do understand that the sensation you call excitement, that's actually your body's translation of a message from the higher mind, saying, do this first, do this now. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do.
Are you acting on your excitement to the best of your ability with no insistence on a particular outcome every moment that you can?
I'm not.
Why?
I don't know why.
Yes, you do. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid will happen if you do?
I think I just feel maybe lonely or just by myself.
Lonely.
Yeah.
So you're not acting on your highest excitement, which could attract all sorts of people to interact with you in exciting ways because you're lonely?
Yeah, I don't know what the fear is. I'm just thinking maybe
Yes,
that
you
is,
do. You're just not digging deep enough. You have to make it conscious. You can't be afraid to find out what your fear is. Otherwise, you're stopping yourself. You're blocking yourself. You're isolating yourself. And that's why you're experiencing loneliness.
Okay.
Because you're afraid of what will happen if you actually become who you really know you are. What do you imagine is the most terrifying thing that might happen if you acted on your excitement to the degree that you would like to?
Yeah, I'm not very clear on that either.
Is there something that you're not doing you would rather be doing? Anything at all?
Yeah, I should be writing. I should be.
Don't say should. That's a self-judgment. Is there something that you would really prefer to be doing that you're not doing? Writing would be exciting?
Writing, yes.
And what else?
And using my voice. Somehow
How?
I feel.
What would be one of the most exciting ways you could use your voice?
Being a spiritual teacher, making people understand, what their highest excitement is, and
You mean helping people
Helping
to
them.
understand?
yes.
All right, now, let's go back to the writing. So you're saying you're not writing in the way that you would like to be?
No.
Why not? If you know that that's one of your expressions of excitement, what excuses or reasons are you giving yourself that make it seem logical to not do what you say would be exciting? Why isn't it exciting enough for you to be doing it?
I'm just looking at, day to day, hour to hour things that, this needs to be done and that small thing needs to be done. And
Then you don't understand how excitement works. You don't understand the kit, the toolkit. The toolkit of excitement, when you start acting on the formula, and again, please understand, this is just a description of a mechanism. It works flawlessly. It's working right now. It's just that you're using the mechanism to produce things you don't prefer instead of using it to produce things that you do prefer. But the mechanism is flawless. It always works. If you act to the best of your ability on anything that contains more excitement than any other option, take it as far as you can until you can take it no further, and do that action with absolutely no insistence on a particular outcome. You activate the complete kit of excitement, and the tools in that kit are, it becomes the thing that supports you in all the ways you need to be supported. It becomes the driving engine that moves you through life in the most accelerated way. It becomes the organizing principle of synchronicity that shows you exactly what you need to do, in what order and when, and what you don't have time to do at the end of any given day didn't need to be done. It is also the path of least resistance that allows you to flow through your life most effortlessly. It is the path that connects to all other expressions of excitement, no matter what form they may come in. It is also the reflective mirror that reveals to you anything within you as a definition that may be out of alignment with your excitement, so you can examine it, make it conscious, let it go, and add that energy to your excitement so you can continue to expand. And it leaves nothing relevant out. It's a complete kit, self-contained, self-guiding, self-perpetuating, self-attracting, bringing you everything you need. So when you say, well, I have to do this and I have to do that and these things are getting in the way of my excitement, you're working your life backwards. Because by acting on your excitement, whatever really needs to be done will get done, because the timing will be provided for it. And if it doesn't get done, most likely it didn't need to be done either that day or maybe even ever. Okay. You have to trust that the guiding principle will actually show you what you need to do, because many people on your planet are very, very busy doing all sorts of things that they probably don't really need to do. You can be much more efficient and streamlined in your life by allowing the principle of synchronicity to guide you as to what actually needs to be done that's in alignment with who you are, and when it needs to be done that's in alignment with who you are, and with whom it needs to be done that's in alignment with where you are, and where it needs to be done that's in alignment with who you are, and nothing else. Does this help?
Yeah, it does. And I feel...
So when will you start writing?
I'll start tonight, this evening.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that exciting?
Yes.
And drop any expectations about what the writing is supposed to get you or what's supposed to happen with it. Do it because that's what excites you, for its own sake. That's it. We share these ideas. We communicate with your civilization and other civilizations because this is who we are. This is what excites us. If you don't pay attention to anything we share with you, we don't care. We would do this anyway because this is what excites us. But we know that because it is what excites us and it's because it is who we are, there are those who will absorb the information and make it their own and use it to accelerate their lives in a positive way. We know that must be so. So we don't have to care who does and doesn't pay attention to the information. We know the people that need to pay attention to it will pay attention to it and use it. We know that the people who don't need to use it won't pay attention to it, and they're not our audience anyway, so who cares?
Okay.
I do this because this is who I am, and that's the only reason to do it. No other reason. Whatever happens, happens, and we trust that whatever happens will be exactly the thing that needs to happen in perfect order. Because we know that's how things work. It's as simple as that.
And I feel the procrastination habit is also connected to this because what I'm procrastinating on are the things which don't excite me, but I'm not doing what excites me. And higher mind is showing me that you are not doing these things because I'm not excited about
but you
it.
can use your procrastination in a positive way, because if you are attempting to do something that you say excites you, but you're procrastinating, that's your first clue that your definition of how you're going about it isn't in alignment with who you are. Because if it was, you would be on it. You'd be jumping at it. You'd be doing it. You'd be passionate about being passionate. Any procrastination to do the thing you say you would love to do shows you that you're not going about it in the way that actually works best for you. Discover what that is. Investigate what that would be, and you'll get more excited about it, and you will see that it's an actual easy path. It's just that you're thinking it's more difficult than it is because you're going down a path that isn't yours.
So investigation, the best method is to go into meditation. Is that what
If you want to use meditation, that's fine, but you can think it through too.
Okay.
You just have to discover what your definition of your relationship about how you're going about something is, and find out if you can, with your imagination and communication with the higher mind, create a definition that works better for you than the one that you're using. Okay. For example, if you're saying, well, I am excited about writing, but somehow I don't seem to be able to get started, well, what's a reason why I would hold back from doing what excites me? Well, let's see. Maybe I think for some reason I'm going to get lost on the page, or I'm going to have to sit there at the computer for hours and hours typing away. Well, maybe that's not your way of writing. Maybe if you go out somewhere in a park and take a piece of paper and a pencil, maybe the words will flow more naturally for you that way. If there's any procrastination, it just means you're not doing it in the way that's most in alignment with you. Find out what the way is that's most in alignment, and everything will start flowing again.
Gotcha.
Yes?
Okay. Yes.
Does that help?
Yeah, it does.
How exciting. Thank you.
That's
it.
Okay, thank you.
If nothing else, and you feel procrastination, if you're really a writer, you would write about your procrastination. And then you won't be procrastinating. Simple as that. If you're a writer. Know that you're a writer in everything that you do. Even if you're shopping for groceries, you're doing it as a writer would.
Hello, Tadea.
Nania!
I think we have about 15 minutes left, and so maybe I'll do a couple of Ustream questions,
all right.
and then if you'd like us to call someone else up, that'd be fine. Okay, the first one has to do with the attacks in Paris.
Yes.
The terrorist attacks.
Well, we long ago told you that you are going to see an increase in violence as you get everything out on the table to decide what kind of a world you really wish to have. And we said that because everything is starting to dissolve and fall apart, you're going to probably see an increase in instability. And you're going to see reflections of individuals who are in fear and feel disempowered for a variety of reasons, and expressing a kind of insanity on your planet until such time as you start to really balance yourself, look at the real deep causes of these things, and start to communicate with each other in ways that are far more constructive. Now, there may still be those who don't want to listen, and eventually they will be, in a sense, evolved out of your society by the shifts that you make. But nevertheless, this is the time of disassembly before you can reorient yourself and reassemble your path in the direction of a parallel version of Earth that you prefer.
You answered that person's question completely. Thank you. Okay.
Well, we're nothing if not efficient.
This person's writing in from China.
Yes.
And they said that they are a university student and they don't like the educational system at all.
Well, there are many different kinds of educational systems that are being created on your planet now, but if they find none to their liking, they can always create a new one.
Right, because they're saying, will there be any change for the education system on our planet?
Yes,
and
as
what
we
should...
already said, there are changes taking place. What they really need to involve is the three-step process that we have outlined, where you create an environment, a safe environment, in which you can teach the idea of consequences of your choices in a way that doesn't have disastrous repercussions, allowing people to truly understand what these consequences are and take responsibility for them before they try them out in the world. Also, interactivity in this way, making it as real simulations as possible so they really feel like it's a real world situation, is of paramount importance, because again, if they think they're sort of faking it because it is a simulation, you have to make it as interactive and real as possible so they will understand truly the experience of the consequences of their choices, but again, in a safe environment where it doesn't ripple out into the world. And third, the idea of adapting the lesson to the thing that excites the person instead of attempting to force their excitement into a lesson box that doesn't work for them is of paramount importance. Learn by doing, learn by experience, and allow the person to learn through the way in which they are designed to learn. Now, this is beginning to change in some of the systems on your planet. It is called a developmentally appropriate system, or a developmentally appropriate process, where each child is taught to their strengths and not just homogenized into a class where everyone is taught exactly the same thing in exactly the same way. This is a step in that direction, where you start to tailor what you're teaching to each individual based on their excitement, their way of absorbing information, their way of interacting with the world, their way of processing information, and allowing them to learn by experience rather than simply throwing facts and figures at them, which will usually just bounce off their skulls anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting. Back in the 60s, there was an educational system called Summerhill,
Yes.
where the children didn't have to attend class at all. And they lived on site, and then they were able to learn whatever they wanted to. And interestingly, they found within a couple of weeks, all the kids that were wanting to stay home started showing up at class.
Yes.
And they started creating models and things like that to work from.
Yes.
And a lot of those kids ended up going to Harvard.
Yes.
So it was
Learning
interesting.
is exciting. People want to learn if they are allowed to learn the way that it's natural for them to learn, in the way that's aligned with their excitement. People are sponges. They will absorb it all. They will find ways to adapt information that may be necessary in your society into a methodology that they can relate to. And then they will learn what they need to learn. They will learn the guidelines. Yes, of course, we understand there are certain things that may be handy for everyone on your planet to know. Certain guidelines that are part of living your life in a productive and safe way. But these things can all be learned in a way that is in alignment with excitement. They don't have to be learned in a rote manner. And they can't be learned in a rote manner.
It kind of brings to mind also that when we listen to your information,
Yes.
And even the recordings of your information,
Yes.
there's a holographic effect with it where when you listen to it, you hear something different every time.
Yes.
Because it seems so specifically designed
Yes.
to interact with the individual who's listening, their consciousness, in a
Yes.
way that's very specific to what they need to learn or what they're
Yes.
excited to learn.
Exactly, because you are different people at every moment, and you will hear different things that we have embedded in the communications at different times.
So is it just a frequency thing, like the kids in
Yes.
school? I don't know that they feel that kind of experience when they're being taught something.
That's because they're not being taught holographically.
Okay, so what is the energy that the information's imbued with that allows people to experience that?
It's what we just said. In a holographic presentation where you know that everyone will pick up what they need to pick up, how they need to pick it up, when they need to pick it up, there is the allowance for that to happen in their own way, at their own pace, in their own timing, rather than the insistence that if they don't get it now, they've missed the train. Goodbye, sorry, you fail. It's the delivery of information in a way that contains the information and structures the information in a way that is actually designed specifically to allow everyone to absorb the information they need, and only the information they need, in exactly the way they need to absorb it.
And is that also because the frequency that you're sharing is imbued with the gamma frequencies?
Yes.
So
Because we are inducing you to also go into the gamma frequency in order to absorb the information on deeper levels of your consciousness by radiating that frequency and by allowing you to match that frequency if you wish to.
Okay, so it's perfect. When you teach from the gamma state,
Yes.
and you share that energy, the individual that's listening then is encouraged to harmonize and reach the gamma state.
Yes.
And then they have a holographic experience with the information they're receiving.
Yes, and this is why it's up to the adults who are teaching to be very, very imaginative and allow themselves to teach from the state of the higher mind, the gamma state, the imagination state. Because if there is a gamma teacher, it's far more probable that there will be a gamma class.
And I don't know if this is the same topic, but I am wondering, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, why is that so effective with human consciousness?
Because it's a physical form of telepathy. The idea, again, remember, is that telepathy is not that you're reading someone else's mind, it's that you're having the same thoughts at the same time because you're on a similar wavelength. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, entrains you to actually match in every way that you possibly can the actual physical and neurological modality of someone else. You're mirroring their actions, their behaviors, every movement, every sigh, their body language, their attitude, their energy. And when you match them perfectly enough, you will actually start having the same thoughts at the same time, and you will experience telepathy. You will know exactly what they're thinking by mirroring them.
And then that simultaneously sort of reprograms your psyche?
It can, yeah.
Okay.
Depending upon what it is you're mirroring and what your intent is behind mirroring it. This is why the idea of role models can be important. Again, of course, you will always be unique. You'll always do it in your own way. But if you're picking positive role models that are already representative of a typical kind of behavior and reality and lifestyle that you prefer for yourself, well, by mimicking and doing the kinds of things that that person is doing in their life to the best of your ability, you start to take on that energy. You start to mirror that reality, and you will allow whatever version of it is unique to you to manifest in the easiest and most effortless possible way. You can use NLP that way. Does that help?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how our brains are wired to allow us to absorb information.
It is the receiver.
Ways.
Yes, it's the receiver between the higher mind and the physical mind. And it is wired to receive an array of frequencies on fractal scales. And it will interpret and download and transform those frequencies in a way that is relevant for whatever is possible in the belief system to be capable of being held in the personality.
You're really expanding our perception of what we can do to teach in schools, in the educational system, from a completely, really new place, and then help these children to have a much more expansive and amazing
it's not really that
experience
new
learning.
because there are times in your history where other civilizations used to understand this and use it. In particular, some of the ancient Atlantean teachings were more in this direction. But you've forgotten this and now you're remembering, so that's okay.
That's great. It's just so much more fun to learn as a kid when you're doing what you love to do.
And one of the most important things for allowing you to learn is to make sure that you are fueled up. So now, please, take your break and nourish yourselves so that you will be more capable of absorbing more information without wearing yourselves out. We will resume this transmission after your nourishment break. Enjoy.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning.